gentlemen, you are more than welcome to another episode of the Coffee to 11 show, brought to you by wigwam.ie SME Peer Support. This is episode 66. Can you believe it? Episode 66. Delighted to celebrate episode 66 with my good friend of many years, and a man I admire greatly, Mr. John Loftus, in the hot seat. John, you're more than welcome. Please say hello. Show us your coffee mug.
That's my coffee mug. Can we see it?
We can.
Party animal there. A while ago, that happened now. Having spent the last 100 days in confinement. My daughter Tara, guys, she's special needs. I didn't know that at the time. Was born in 1992, in May of 1992, or sorry, April 1992, the 23rd of April. Following month, she was being christened, and I felt fairly, I could almost say shitty the next day. Put it down to having had too much to drink. A few days went on and I was not getting any better. Went to a doctor, he gave me a covering antibiotic for, he considered I had some temperature. And then a few days later, all hell broke loose. I won't go into the machinations of it. I woke up at about 7 o'clock in the evening after my wife had insisted I stay in bed for a few days, on fire. Took my temperature. I was just short of 104 degrees, which kills a normal person, kills them very dead. It's okay with a kid, but with an adult, I was 44 at the time. So I spent a weekend I was brought to the regional hospital. I spent a week there where I was under a specialist who seemed to know as much about what was going on with me as a pig would about snipe shooting. He just didn't know. I would have been better off under a car mechanic. Eventually, he brought a guy called Con Cronin, who did save my life. Con had done his training in Beaumont and was an expert in the kidney nephrology department. And he had me moved to Beaumont the following day. Now, the difference between the reception in Beaumont and what was going on in Limerick, which was nothing going on. So a week had transpired and I had been allowed to get much, much sicker. So in Beaumont, I'm given all kinds of treatment. Anyway, to make a long story boring, I am diagnosed with having good pastures syndrome. Good pastures is a rare autoimmune disease, and the upshot of it all was that there was irreparable damage done to my kidneys. I spent that was in 1992, as I said. I spent from the end of May to the 25th of November, full 6 months in hospital. During that time, I hit the crossbar on a few occasions. They cured the good pastures, but to cure the good pastures, they take down my immune system. When my immune system was down, I picked up now what they called an opportunistic strain of pneumonia. So this coronavirus has real implications in relation to all that. And now the cure nearly became worse than the disease. I was providing the body, it was antibiotics versus the virus. I was brought to intensive care, 4 days on a respirator, which absolutely I remember nothing of, simply because that part of my life disappeared. I had an out of body experience when I eventually came back. I was 100% certain I was going to die. I remember the morning I was put on the respirator. There was a guy called Shane O'Neill was their respiratory specialist, and he came in and his team around him, and he said, "We're going to give your lungs a rest." I was there thrown on the bed like an old dog, and it had really hit me on that Saturday because I was a real fighter up to then. This was Monday morning after a Saturday, and on the Saturday what had happened, the nurses were making the bed underneath me. I was in a frame, or whatever you would call it, and they turned me over and they asked me to put my hand on the rail while they were making the bed underneath me. And I remember not being able to get any grip on the bed. And I remember laying back into the very cold, welcoming sheets, saying to myself, "Who are you fooling? You're dead. You're gone." And I was amazed to be there Sunday, and I was even more amazed to be still alive on the Monday morning when this guy Shane O'Neill came in and he said, "Look, we need to put you on the respirator. It'll give your lungs a rest." I remember being thrown down like that and nodding away as best I could, because the only part of me that was functioning was my brain. And if he had said at that stage, "Col, we'll put you up there and we'll shoot you," I would have nodded away, because I had done all the fighting. I reckon I had nothing left, and that was it. So the next 4 days, they come in, they put on the respirator, and the next 4 days disappeared out of my life. And then I pulled the thing out on the following Thursday, Friday morning. And there was all hell went loose. But I remember at that stage being aware of the fuss, but being aware of the fuss looking down on us, seeing the heads of and all the guys in white and my body, and I'm looking down there, and I'm there for a while. It seems to be 10 seconds, it could have been an hour, it could have been a minute, it could have been nothing. And then I'm aware of coming back down and being back into bed. And the incredible thing that hit me, because I had 7 lines simultaneously into my arms at the time. My right hand was like a club, because so many veins had broken down and what have you in it. But I had 7 lines intravenously, and one, including one going into my artery, so that they could take blood oxygen levels. And the pain that was in those was unreal. But for that few seconds, it could have been a few minutes after I had come back to be me, there was no pain. Unbelievable, no pain, pure peace, no pain.
Let's just come in here and honor you here for that. That is some story, my friend. I've heard it in part before. I've never heard it to this level of detail. And that's some journey. And I think we were all there with you. You described the cold sheets earlier, and then you came back into your body and you described the level of pain and this absolute peace that came over you. So quite incredible, John. Quite incredible. The universe obviously wanted you to hang around for a bit.
Yeah. I couldn't get rid of me.
or decided to send you back. Tis your man. All right, listen. John, pleasure. We're going to go to Q&A from the floor. I'm quite sure there's some people there who want to ask you a couple of questions. I hope they're hard. I hope Liam Carroll has a hard question for you. Anyway, before we do that, have you one tip? What would you say to your nearest and dearest about, we're now coming through COVID, thank God.
What I've gained from COVID is this, what I've seen in COVID, and it always helps if you, no matter how deep in any hole you are, always try to take the positive, no matter what. And what I have seen during this period has been incredible humanity. People being human to each other again. People being ready to help. People being authentic, real, neighbourly. All the things that matter. What made Ireland great? What could make the world great? Not rantings by an old man in America about making America great. That's not great. Bulldozing your way over people, that's not great. Helping the people up off the ground, that is great. And as far as I'm concerned, if we can hold on to the humanity we've discovered during this period, it'll all almost have been worthwhile.
A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're more than welcome to another episode of the Conflict 11 show on a rainy Tuesday here in lockdown in Ireland. And it is my great pleasure. This is episode 67 of the Conflict 11 show, brought to you by wigwam.ie. It's my great pleasure to introduce you to Raymond Sexton, who's my special guest this morning, all the way from Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. Raymond, you're more than welcome. Please say hello. Show us your coffee mug.
Hi, Colin. Delighted. It's a bit late for coffee at this time of night, but I'll have a go.
I love it. What time of the night is it over there?
Oh, it's just gone 8 p.m. in the evening. Yeah, so it's not too bad. Very civilized.
8 p.m. Well, very civilized. I'm delighted that you've chosen to join us. I hope it's decaf, but I'm delighted you've chosen to join us. We're going to go to Q&A from the floor because I'm conscious of time, and we want to respect everybody's time in the cafe. You and I could chat for all day. Going to go to Q&A from the floor. Before we do that, Raymond, could I ask you, what are you taking from COVID? What are you taking with you from COVID, please?
I think it's probably an enforced retreat for the whole world. I'm noticing it in the street here in Melbourne. When I came in 2016, I was doing the Irish thing, saying hi to people in the street, or how's it going, or how, and I was getting these looks like, who's that weirdo with the funny accent? Now people are stopping, and we're having 2 or 3 sentences, and these are the people, the very same people that would have been walking past me before this. And I just think everyone, particularly here, 28 years of unbridled economic growth is a bit scary. That's nearly a whole generation and a half, Colm, of people they're very scared. And I think they're rediscovering relationships. I think that's the key thing. And it's enjoyable because it had got very, very transactional and it wasn't the Australia I left. It was totally different. Whereas, so that's the thing. I think it's been now, but the government has managed it well here. Like when you think with only 100 deaths, and like if you think about it, the US is 14 times the size of Australia. So that would mean if the US did what Australia had done, there'd be 1,400 deaths in the US. Now, you could even multiply by 10, still 14,000. It's not 120,000. So the Aussies have got on top of this very, very well. And there's a lot of respect for that,
Yes, indeed. Thank you. And thank you, Kathy Mera, for leading that Bula bus. And we feel for you in your country. We feel for you in your country. A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're more than welcome to another episode 68 of the Coffee at 11 show, brought to you by wigwam.ie SME peer support on this beautiful Wednesday morning. Delighted to have as my guest today Karina Murray, who's CEO of and founder indeed of Anua Academy. Karina, please say hello and show us your coffee mug, please.
Oh yes, yeah. Cheers. Good morning, and thank you so much for having me this morning. It's lovely to meet you all and be here, and I have my bucket of coffee to keep me going.
Real pleasure, Karina, having you on the show this morning. Thank you for that. We're going to go to Q&A from the floor, if that's okay, as we always do. And before we do that, I might ask you, if you wouldn't mind, what are you taking from COVID? What positive are you taking from COVID that you let go?
Yeah, it's become a really important time for, I think we've all realised the sense of community and people and what we've taken for granted, the small little things, such small things. I've just, began to realise the importance of everything. Rushing around like headless chickens is me very often running around from here to there. And when you've got family and you've got responsibilities. So I think really just taking stock of what's really important to us, and the simple things in life are what matters really. So I just hope that we just, we don't go back to the way we were, and that madness that it was before. It's been a really tough time for so many people, and I think that this Mother Earth, there's something happening at the world, there's something happening up there now, and there's a big sign, and it's a big wake-up call for all of us. And if we don't take this time to make it, take this opportunity to do something great with our lives, and realize this is a wake-up call for all of us, well then we've we might not have learned as much. We need to kind of really take stock of what we can offer and what we can do. I think it's important.
And good morning, one and all. You're more than welcome to another episode of the Coffee at 11 show. This is episode 69. It's brought to you by wigwam.ie SME peer support. Delighted to have you here. And in particular, I'm delighted to have a friend of mine and a lady I've admired for some time. It took me a long time to get this lady on the show. No expense spared. Barbara Gordon, you're very welcome. Please say hello and show us your coffee cup, please.
Hi, Colm, and thank you. And here's my lovely cup of coffee.
We're going to go to Q&A from the, we're going to go to Q&A from the floor in just a second. But before we do, COVID obviously hit. What are you taking with you from COVID? What good stuff are you taking from COVID with you the next phase?
I think probably back to basics for a lot of people, appreciating what they've got, valuing what they've got. I think it's grounded a lot of people. There's great sadness there because I feel the sadness for a lot of businesses because they've closed, and that is so sad and so devastating, because they've actually nothing they could do about it. Like in the last recession, there was a lead up to it, and it was a slow burn, but this has been an overnight, and it's just been so sad. And I speak to a lot of businesses on a daily basis, and I'm saying, look, you don't have to come on board, don't have to pay me, wait until you're back and wait until you get sorted. But it's about what it's done to their business. They spent years, some of them, building their business. They've got through recession and now completely wiped out. And that's really sad. So the back to basics, yeah, but there's great sadness there for what's happened. But I think a lot of businesses are learning now. They've pivoted and they're opening up their minds and changing direction. And I suppose the virus has just made them do that as well. So a bit of good there as well. A bit of good.
And a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're more than welcome to another episode. This is episode 70 of the Coffee at 11 show, brought to you by wigwam.ie SME Peer Support. Delighted to have you join us here today. In particular, delighted to have my special guest here this morning. Very busy lady who's taken some time out to join us in the cafe this morning. And it is Elena Fitzgerald Kane from Fitzgerald Woodlands Hotel and Spa in County Limerick. Elena, please say hello and show us your coffee mug if you wouldn't mind.
Good morning, everybody. Delighted to be here with you this morning. I'm getting all the waves and handshakes. So that's a great start anyway.
Touch on Robbie Williams. How did that happen?
Oh gosh, well now in Limerick, as you all well know, we never had too many opportunities to visit Dublin for an All-Ireland. And in true Fitzgerald form in 1994, the whole family were chucking up, as was so much of the county. And we had a wedding to do and we had whatever to do. And so by the time we arrived up, we had to stop in the Red Cow, the great Tommy Moran's, that whole loyalty, and the place was buzzing and hopping. And we rocked on then to the hotel that we were staying, which was the Westbury at the time, which would be fabulous a place. So there was a nice cohort of Limerick people staying there, negotiated preferential rates and the whole lot. So when we arrived outside, it was a hotel that we would have stayed in at the time, probably fairly regularly. There was a huge gang of people outside. We said, Jesus, they don't look like a match crew in our own heads, you know. And as we got closer, they were a little bit younger. And look, it was probably 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, getting ready for a big day. And so we weren't really taking it in. I wasn't to take that fan. None of my family would have been in that zone. And so we rocked on in, and kind of there was another, I suppose, two couples there that had come from the Red Cow. So I said, you know what, maybe we'll have a drink in the lounge. They had this beautiful upstairs lounge. So when we went up there anyway, we were having our drink. There was this other crowd that were very noisy down towards the end around the piano. And they were playing away, and look, they probably had a few drinks on board and whatever else. And my mother, of course, said to me, Jesus, will you go up there and show them how to play? Now, for those of you who know me, I'm not really what you call a great player. A bit of a singer when I get going and when the confidence gets going, which takes a while. So I rocked on up, and I actually didn't know who Take That were. So there was a guy playing who found out was Robbie Williams kind of subsequently after. And I have become a fan after, and literally said, do you mind if I have a go? And whatever. So I went off and played probably something random. It definitely wasn't Take That. It definitely wasn't pop or whatever. So they were all roaring, shouting and saying, listen, maybe you should sing with us tomorrow night. I hadn't a clue what they were saying. So sat down. But it was only the next day when we woke up and read the papers that we actually realised that Take That had been staying in our hotel. And it was a big joke at the time that I played for Take That, not realising it. So there you go.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Thank you.
Go.
That's just brilliant. That's pure humanity at its best. It's pure Limerick at its best. It's pure Ireland at its best. That's just the way stuff happens. So wonderful stuff.
Hello to Mary. Hold on.
Mary. Thank you, Sarah.
Colin O'Brien. This is everybody.
Hi.
Mary Fitzgerald.
How are you doing?
Can you recognise a few of the faces?
Oh my God, I do indeed, yes. Oh my goodness. How are you?
Mary. Lovely to meet you. Thank you for coming in to say hello to us.
Your photo was put up of you rolling out the red carpet. So
Oh my God. My hi, Celine, Stefan. How many more do I recognise there?
Brian
I
O'Callaghan.
love it. But we just wanted to say hello and to honour you. for the work you do and for your family and for the iconic property that you have out there, but for the work that you've done as former president of the IHF, and indeed you must be very proud of Elena as the torch.
After that, I feel like I'm doing it all over again, 20 years. But I hear the round and I say, keep going, keep going, keep going.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Anyway,
exactly.
we just wanted to say hello. I'm going to ask Stefan, would you mind coming in and saying hello, Stefan, please? Come in and say a quick hello if you don't mind, if you can unmute yourself there.
Hello, Mary. Good to see you again.
Stefan, how are you? Always good to see you. And Anna.
And how things have changed since the last time we met at the conference, eh?
What'd you say?
How things have changed since the last time we met.
The day after, immediately. It is incredible, absolutely. But yeah, doing a great job, and I just said we have such a challenge ahead of us. But look, in this industry, we get challenges every day. It's just how we just climb the mountains. It was a hill, it's a mountain, definitely, there's no doubt about it. You know.
So actually, it might be worth mentioning, before we went into complete lockdown, there's a local hill here called Knockfearna, which many of you were probably familiar with, and none of the two of us had ever climbed it. So we said, you know what, after the kind of sense of, because we closed well ahead of lockdown, you know, we just felt very uncomfortable for our team and our guests. It was just a very strange period, and we got ahead of it. We closed on the 16th of March, Monday the 16th. So we decided then, I think it was St. Patrick's Day, was it?
Yes.
That symbolically that we would actually go and we climb Knockfearna. So it was that whole sense of, we're going to push our boundaries a little bit. We're going to go and we're going to start with something. It was that whole sense of climbing that hill, give a sense of, okay, there are mountains ahead and this is what we need to do. So we did a little kind of a video for our own team, actually. And I think we ended up putting it on our hotel social media. And the windswept, you can't hear a word or whatever. Now, unfortunately, we couldn't do it after that. But as we kind of emerge now into opening, I don't know when we're going to do it. But it's just sometimes you have to set yourself goals. So whether it's things like that or whether it's in your business career or around you, that all helps your mindset in terms of trying to get to where you're going, or to contextualize it probably a little bit better.
Listen, just gorgeous, ladies, just beautiful. Thank you
very much indeed.
And Mary, you're off on Sunday, by the way. You're off on Sunday. You can climb the hill on Sunday.
We'll see about that. At the race, looking for, if anybody has 5 litres of epoxy resin lacquer, I'm looking for that at the moment. With the bar almost finished, but we're short 5 litres, so that's my hunt at the moment. So we're now trying Northern Ireland. So if anyone has a contact in Paint Northern Ireland, I'd love to hear from you. Great to see you, and I know we'll get there. Okay?
No doubt.
Bye.
God bless, Mary. God bless. There's not just...
What I should say is, before that started, like every day, I suppose my days start very, very early. She dropped me up my breakfast, which you see here, right? This is only a mammy can do it for you. My Revive, which is our new fix. And then obviously all my other things. And I get a drip feed, I get drip fed drinks and everything all day. And I get hauled out then for a walk as well, you know, just to keep everyone going.
I'm going to go to Q&A if you don't mind. I'm going to go to Q&A from the floor. We get you back to your various jobs.
Not off the hook yet.
No, not off the hook yet. No. Just a few minutes. But before I go to Q&A from the floor or comment from the floor, I'm sure there's somebody who wants to pop in. Could I ask you, as you, Elena Fitzgerald-Kane, what are you taking from COVID?
What am I taking from COVID? I'm taking a sense of support, a sense of community, a sense of change values in everybody, you know, whether it's as guests or whether it's family or the people you work with, and how we can manage that and build from it, because we're in a bubble right now. And in a way, as we strive to move forward, the comforts that we probably have, you know, they're going to change. And I suppose it's to make sure that we're resilient enough, but I think that resilience will come from that sense of community and that sense of support. And that, you know, and I'd love to be able to say, you know, some people said, you know, there was so many positives to lockdown. And I suppose there was. I mean, I've been at home myself for, you know, more or less 3 or 4 months solid. But I can't honestly say I've probably got to enjoy that sense of, you know, 2K, 5K. We were good at certain things, but the last few weeks as we got ready to reopen it, morphed away from. But it's at some point I hope to probably be able to balance that up again But for now, my focus is on supporting our team getting back to work in our hotel. And that's going to have to, within reason, take every energy that we have. My kids are safe. You know, we have a great support network for them, and supporting our wider community in Ireland and the challenges. And I really kind of have that sense of putting on the green jersey as an individual in terms of, you know, staying in Ireland, spending locally, doing everything we can, and just trying to bring as many people along the journey as we can. And that's just going to take a little bit more than the ordinary everyday effort. And I think we all have to be mindful of that going forward.
Putting on the green jersey, that's what it's all about. And there are millions of us. There are millions of us that will put on the green jersey, and will support you. So, Elena, just lovely. Thank you very much for taking the time out to come and visit us this morning.